Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sabans. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. And we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And Stephen A. Smith is back. He's back talking politics. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel, man. And also make sure you follow me on Instagram. My handle is CTABANZ. So, as you guys know, I've been getting a little bit more political over these last few weeks, months now, just with the way things are going, man. I'm like, what's going on here, right? And I also want to challenge myself, not just to talk basketball. I've been talking basketball for 6-7 years, and it's not that hard anymore. It's actually very, very easy. So, I gave myself a new challenge, and plus, I've been seeing other people out there that decided to kind of do the same, and I feel like I can do as good a job as they can. And one of those people is Stephen A. Smith. Now, Stephen A. Smith, because some people have been contacting me, hey man, you told Stephen A. Smith to stop being a grifter, and here you are grifting. What's the grift? Everything I'm saying, I believe it. Everything. And look, grifters usually take a particular position for some type of like monetary shortcut, right? There is no monetary shortcut. If I wanted to make a lot of money talking politics, I would just basically, I'm a conservative and everything that comes out of my mouth is conservative. I'm not doing that. Now, if I truly believed, and supported everything that this administration did, then I'll do that. That's what I would do, right? But I got to be true to myself. In the case of Stephen A. Smith, the reason I was calling him a grifter is because I felt he was one way and masquerading as another thing. For goodness sake, the guy voted for Kamala Harris. He was supporting her all the way up until election night, and then now all of a sudden, he's this independent guy that's always with conservatives, which is something I want to get to, because this morning I came across a clip from Valuetainment, Patrick David. Those of you guys who know Patrick David. Anyway, and the title of the show was called "Tax the Rich. Mamdani ignites backlash after Quran swear-in and communism chants." So when I clicked on the video, when I saw the video, I saw Stephen A. Smith's face like on the thumbnail alongside Patrick David. And the first thought that came to my mind, I'm like, why is Patrick David platforming Stephen A. Smith again? Like, why is it? And me and Pat had talked once briefly about like a sports segment that they wanted to do, but it didn't really go anywhere. But I had chatted with him quite some time ago. Anyway, so I'm like, what does Stephen A. Smith had to say? Because Stephen A. Smith has had some cockeyed point of views over the last few months now. And the last time I heard about him talking was when he was reprimanding the president, Donald Trump, over the comments that he made about the Hollywood director, right? Because he saw that was the direction that the wind was blowing, frankly. And a lot of Trump's own supporters were calling him out for that. One of the very few moments and occasions you can witness something like that. So I tuned in to hear what Stephen A. Smith was going to say. And essentially what they were saying was that, the panel, Pat, Vinny, I don't remember who else was on the panel. But anyway, Stephen A. Smith was there as well. They were talking about some of the things that Zohran represents to New York. And they feel like he's a socialist. And they were showing videos of, him talking about raising taxes on the rich, and, people were happy and all of that. So that's how they were trying to characterize it. So Pat kind of gave his analysis of what was going on. And then he asked Stephen A. Smith to weigh in on the matter. And in typical Stephen A. Smith fashion, he Stephen A. Smithed his answer. For those of y'all who didn't hear what he had to say, I want to play his comments for you now, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
Lastly, and maybe most importantly, demanding that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes.
All unemployed people like, yeah.
Coming to a city near you, folks. Look at the smile. She's got $600 shoes on.
Boots, $600 boots.
Yeah.
Screaming communism.
Yeah, look at that. Communism is awesome, right? Pause it right there. Okay, so when you see that and you go back to it, right? Stephen A., this is New York City. Mm-hmm. You grew up in New York City. You came up in New York City, right? Mm-hmm. Did you ever think the city that was built by capitalists, by business owners, by founders, by investors, by people who came up. They were the example. You would watch, the life of the rich and famous. One day, I'm going to grow up and be rich. I remember being a 14-year-old kid. First time I heard about Democrats and Republicans, because in Iran it was all about communism and imperialism. I come home one day and I asked my mom, I said, Mom, today they talked about Democrats and Republicans. I said, really? Yeah. I said, are we Democrats or are we Republicans? And she said, we're Democrats. I said, why? She said, because Democrats are for the poor and Republicans are for the rich. I said, Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a Republican one day because I want to be rich. I want to have money. Did you ever think a city like that, you walk up and you just do one of these things, right? This is what you do this in New York. It's like, wow, look at all these towers. Look at all these incredible buildings, right? You ever gone to the top of New York and you have at these Michelin star restaurants, you're sitting and you're like, look at the view. Let's take a picture. Like, what an incredible, it doesn't make any sense. Did you ever think a socialist Muslim man was going to be the mayor of New York City?
Yes.
Tell us why.
A year ago.
A year ago.
Not before then. A year ago. When you look at what's happening on college campuses, the behavior of the young students and what have you, and you juxtapose that or you pay attention to what happened in the election with Mamdani going up against Cuomo, who ran as an independent, and Eric Adams had his issues, so he couldn't really get involved in that whole process and what have you. You saw that I thought that without question, Andrew Cuomo was the most qualified candidate for the job. He's a 3-term governor in the state of New York, was coasting to a 4th term until he got derailed not just by the nursing home scandal during COVID, but also by the allegations that were levied against him. Then to be out of office and have to come back and try to get the mayoral seat in New York City, there were young voters out there. And all of a sudden, he looked old at age 67. Still got a lot of life left in them, still got a lot of politics left in them. They said, nah, we're not feeling that. We don't want that. We want this. And then I thought about the fact that I have 2 daughters, and I thought about every child that I've never seen any child that's different. They want free stuff. Now, whether they get it or not is contingent on the parental, stewardship that's hovering over them. But they want it for free. If they can get it for free, if they can get it without working, if they can get their way and let somebody else handle the repercussions, that's what children do. That's what young adults do. We just have to not be blind to it. And we also have to remember that when Biden was president, what did he do? I'm going to eradicate all student loans. I mean, we're going to forgive that. Supreme Court had to step in and say, you don't have the authority to do that. But that's what he tried to do, knowing the likelihood of him being able to pull that off was slim to none. But it really, really looked good. And it made sure to ingratiate a whole bunch of people with that administration and ultimately the Democrats, because why? You were talking about something that was free. What does Mamdani do? Free child care, free buses, at least one free grocery store in every borough, stuff like, yeah, we don't have to pay for it. They're not thinking, but my parents do. My grandparents will. My aunts and uncles will. My bosses might. Not thinking about that. They're thinking about, I don't have to pay. And those are the people that were at the polls in New York City. I had told, I hope Chris remembers this. I remember Chris Cuomo was a friend of mine. I told him, I said, man, I don't care what happened with Andrew Cuomo. If you're going to run, I think he should have ran for the governor's chair again. Because the city is about kids. It's about Broadway. Mm-hmm. It's about the streets. The state is about the adults. Yep.
And that's how I felt Mamdani was going to win, because he was going to have that young vote on lock, and he pulled it off.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say. What are my thoughts? Well, I have a lot of thoughts about this. A lot of thoughts. One of the things that Stephen A. Smith was saying was that these people supporting Zohran, these are people that want free things, right? These people, these Democrats, they're only supporting him because they're going to give him free things like a free bus ride, free grocery store. I don't know where he heard Zohran said he's going to be giving a free grocery stores. He never said anything of the sort. He said city-owned grocery stores where they can control the prices. I don't know where he got his information as far as that. But they were essentially saying, Pat and Stephen A. Smith were saying about talking about New York City embracing socialists, and this is what these Democrats out here are doing. And it's somebody that's from the East Coast, born in Maryland, grew up in New York City, by the way of the Bronx and Yonkers. I feel like I gotta educate some of these folks on what New Yorkers are really like. Okay, first of all, New York has always voted blue, especially in presidential elections, going all the way back to 1984, which was the last time the state of New York voted red, and that was for Ronald Reagan. That was the last time they voted red, about 40 years ago. But then you have other states that also vote blue all the time, right? And they're trying to make it seem like, oh, these people don't know anything. Oh, these people, they just want free handouts and all of that stuff. You know the other state that always votes blue? Massachusetts. Massachusetts is the most educated state in the United States. They always vote blue. The last time they voted red was again in 1980 and 1984. So are we saying that people from Massachusetts are uneducated? That they can't grasp political affairs, domestic political affairs? They don't know what's going on. The most educated state in America, they don't know anything. What about some of the richest states in the United States? What are those states? What do they generally vote? Well, some of the richest states, or the richest states, are, of course, New York, Boston, California, Maryland, New Jersey, New Hampshire. I've been to almost all of those places. They don't know what they're doing. All they want are handouts. Really? Have you been to New York City? Do New Yorkers strike you as a set of people that are looking for handouts? New York City, that you're always on the move, where you're walking down the street, it feels like you're in a mini marathon everywhere you go. Since when did New Yorkers say they want handouts? New Yorkers are amongst the hardest working people in America. That's why the saying goes, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So New Yorkers aren't looking for a handout. What they're saying is times have gotten hard. But I want to get to this point here because they're talking about handouts and how, oh, this guy is a socialist and all. First of all, when it's socialism for big banks, like when they crashed the housing market in 2008, weren't they bailed out? What would you call that? Isn't that corporate socialism? Didn't they bail them out? Whose money did they use to bail them out? Whose money? It was taxpayers, right? And what was the reason for it? Oh, these banks are too big to fail, right? So taxpayers footed the bill. Did they not? Was it taxpayers' fault? Was it all of us Americans' fault when these guys crashed the housing market? Help me understand. Didn't the government come and save them? Didn't the government come and save them? And at the time when Obama was in office, he had to. Because when the first bank fell, I forgot, was it Lehman? I forgot the first bank that fell. It had ripple effects globally. But beyond that, they were bailed out by the government. And Stephen A. Smith is hollering about student loans. Student loans. Not to say I'm for or against student loans. I'm not saying any of that. Meaning they should wipe out student loans. No. Like I'm confused. How far does your history go back? How far? And then after those banks were bailed out, how many people went to jail? Some of those CEOs and top managers actually had severance packages. We've all watched the movies. All of us have seen the documentaries at this point. All of us. But to say, oh, New Yorkers are rallying around Zohran because they want free things, man, you're not serious. Do you know the cost of living in New York City? Do you know the price of things in New York City? Stephen A. Smith sounds like somebody that is out of touch with reality, number one. And number two, he sounds like a person, and I got to be honest with you, like a person that is 100% forgot where he came from. Stephen A. Smith is talking like he's always been rich. He's talking like as if he has always been rich. And guess what, Stephen A.? There are a lot of people that always voted blue that are richer than you. So why did they do it? Why did they do it? Why did they do it? You're making it seem as if, oh, it's only poor people that would like Zohran and vote the Democrat. Let me repeat. The Democrats have been voting blue for decades now. Decades. New York City is full of millionaires. Full of them. Full of them. Why aren't they turning tail and running away? Why? Now, obviously, with the influx of foreign money, you have foreign entities buying up a lot of the real estate, but you see that all over the place. Even in London, when I was there this summer, you witness a lot of that as well. But Stephen A. Smith seems out of touch with reality. He's talking like as if he was never broke before. And as a person that was broke at one point that made money, you should be able to empathize. You should be able to empathize, but that's not what I see here. What I see Stephen A. Smith doing is he's trying to cozy himself up to the elite class and then talk down to the class in which he originated from. That's what kills me. He wants to lecture you about what their lives are like and when they're complaining and the things that are affecting them. He wants to tell you, you just want handouts. You're like, that's what he sounds like. He's now lecturing those that are less fortunate than him, forgetting the fact that that's where he came from. All of this stuff that you're saying, what philanthropy is Stephen A. Smith doing? What philanthropy are you doing? Instead of criticizing these everyday people, why don't you do something to help them? You won't do that. Instead, you want to label them as, they want handouts, right? All they want is handout and free food, according to you. But that's what we are. But let me just say this is not everyone. Because there are a lot of people that come from poverty and then go back and give back to their community. It just seems like Stephen A. Smith isn't one of them. And given the fact that he's made all this money, he forgot. He forgot what everyday people go through, what everyday New Yorkers go through. He must have forgot what it felt like riding a train and catching a bus. He must have forgot all about that. He must have forgot all about that clearly. But to characterize it, these Democrats, they don't know what they're doing, bro. We talking about New York City, bro. We're talking about New York City out here. And other states that vote alike, Maryland, you find some of the most affluent people in the United States and amongst the most educated people. Go to Boston, Massachusetts. So what are we talking about? What about New Jersey? All of these millionaires that are running from New York, these big boys, where do you think they have their houses? It's in New Jersey. It's in New Jersey. Wall Street is going to pack up and leave when Zohran gets there, right? Can you let me know of the bankers that have left New York since Zohran is going to become mayor? And in closing, let me say this quickly before I forget. I'm not a person out here that's advocating, man, you need to give handouts. You need to give free things. I'm not like that. What did I tell you guys, for those of you that were following this channel before the last presidential election? What did I tell you? For those of you who remember, maybe on the other channel, here's what I think, our politics channel. What did I say? I said, if you're voting for a particular leader, hoping that they're going to change your life financially, you're cooked. You're cooked. I never put my hope and faith in a politician to change my life. I never do that. Regardless who's in power, I've always been of the mindset that if I want to become rich and have a better life, it's up to me, regardless of who's in office. That's just me. I don't ask anybody for money. If I had to think about the people I've asked for money in my life, it'd probably be 5 people in my life. In my 38 years, 5 people. The day I had to ask my dad for money a few years ago, I remember what year it was, tears almost came to my eyes. Tears. That's how much pain I was in asking my pops for money, alone at the time. Tears. My fiance at the time told me, you're insane. She told me, you're insane, that you're crying for asking your dad, who has money, to loan you money. I said, no, I don't want to ask him for money. So I'm not amongst that class. Now, a lot of people in this election voted thinking that, Trump is going to save him. Good luck. Good luck. If you're amongst the people that feels like a politician is going to save you, you're a bloody idiot. I said it. You're a bloody idiot. Because the only person that's going to save you is you. The only person that's going to save you is you. So I'm not one of these people that's out here saying, no, that's not me. But at the same time, given my predisposition and my mindset, I can understand that other people may not have similar circumstances to me, may not have the same drive that I have, and maybe sometimes need help. Maybe sometimes need help. Now, we're not going to get into the whole conversation of my brother's keeper. We're just going to leave that one for another day. For those of y'all who understood what I just meant by my brother's keeper, we'll talk about that later. Y'all have a good one. I'm out. Peace.